I am Chinyere Mckenzie from Mama Knows Best, and I have my interview today with Catherine, and it's been absolutely amazing trying to get on our live. So we have done this on a pre-record to make sure that we've got this especially for you. So I've got Dr. Catherine as well, Sampa Muyeba. I got it right. Yes, and she is a psychiatrist, and we're talking about reaping. But you know how you hear about, you reap what you sow, but Catherine is going to tell us how to actually reap, and then probably go on to sowing and making it happen, showing us these wonderful steps that everyone can do in order to actually help make their actions be manifest. And as well, we'll be hearing her story of how she actually got this whole Reaping Women organization together, and how she's helped so many people get their life on an action plan. So yes, I'm going to bring in Catherine right now. Thank you so much for joining me on the Mama Knows Best show, and thank you so much for your patience as well with me. So it's been we're doing good. We're here.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. Technology sometimes lets us down, but it won't change us. And thank you very much for having me.
Yes, definitely. And thank you, definitely. So yeah, so we're talking all about reaping, and I know you've made an organization called Reaping Women, but I want you to take it back and to tell me, it's all about, as you said, reaping is like, for me, I'd say manifesting, how to make things happen the way you want it to happen. And from our pre-conversation, you've been doing this all your life. So could you tell us about it, please?
Yes. As far back as I can remember, I think I was in my teenage years then. But my family, I was the second born. I am the second born of 6 children, and I'm the first girl. So I took up a lot of shared responsibilities with my mom, helping my siblings and cooking and cleaning and so on. So when she wasn't around, I was actually practicing my leadership skills then. But also at the same time, because I was born and brought up in Zambia, my parents were quite strict, so we just never used to go and play out. So I made use of the time. So if I wasn't studying, if I wasn't cooking, if I wasn't cleaning or playing with my siblings, I'll just daydream. I just fancied taking time out of my real world at the time and just going to somewhere else where I fancied. And initially it was just to pass time, and I would dream about this or about that, and very unstructured way. But with time, I realized that actually I can be quite intentional about what I dream about, daydreaming, dreaming with my eyes open. And I decided that actually I could dream about what I wanted to become. I'd always wanted to be a doctor at that point. So I started dreaming, wearing a white coat and heels and walking around, looking after patients, and literally started living my life like a doctor in my head. And then the next thing, like, maybe let's add some flavor. So maybe I met this guy at uni. And then because in Zambia to become a doctor takes 7 years, I thought I don't have to wait until I finish the course and then get married or start a relationship. Maybe I'll meet this guy, maybe somewhere in between, and get married somewhere along the way on the 7-year course. And maybe even have my first child. I've always wanted to have a daughter, and I wanted a daughter who looked exactly like me. So all those things I used to dream in my head, I literally lived like the next 15 years of my life. Very much with emotion, with color, with very vivid dreams that I started having. And sometimes, not that I knew what reality was and I knew what it wasn't, but my path started taking that dream, following that dream. So when I'm studying, if I get tired or things are frustrating, I think about the doctor that I had seen. So it helped me and shaped the way that I studied at school. But it wasn't always like that. There were some challenges. It wasn't just like a straightforward thing and that's what happened. I remember in grade 12, which is the final year of high school, towards the end, maybe now last week, our form teacher came into the class and said, you have to complete your application form for the university, those of you who want to go to university. And obviously, to become a doctor, I was going to go to university. And then she picked 4 people out of everyone in the class and said, just these 4 can choose the School of Natural Sciences. And the reason being, the School of Natural Science is very, very difficult and very hard work. It can be very competitive who goes on to the second year. So she was acting in our best interest, giving us a chance once you go to the university to stay there and complete your course. So basically the rest of us, because I wasn't one of the 4, the rest of us were to choose other courses and go to other schools of university so that we could complete our degrees. But for me, my dreams just got shattered. I remember this girl who has only seen a white coat and heels and looking after patients. There was nothing else that I was going to become. So I did something which I shouldn't have done. But at that time, my vision was much, much stronger than getting into trouble. So while she wasn't looking, I ticked the box she told me not to tick. And I ran after her when she was leaving the office and just pushed it in between the bundle of all the other papers, so she didn't have time to check. That's how I got into medical school.
That's excellent. There's a few things there. Would you say that because you had the vision in your mind and the vision of what it is that you've seen for yourself, is that you've already made a path of what is? Yeah, could you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe the science behind that, or I
think in terms of the way I look at it, once you've got something that you desire, and I have to talk about God here, God gives us the desires of our hearts. And once you've got that desire in your heart, it becomes real for you. And then the way that you work and act is towards that vision. And one of the things I do with the young people as well is when I'm mentoring young people, is to encourage them to envision, encourage them to look ahead. What do you really want to become? What could you become? First we start with a blank canvas. You can be anything that you want to become, and then work out something realistic for them. And when they have something that is concrete and their path, and they can look at that and live it and experience it and feel it, they're less likely then to choose unhelpful behaviors which might stand in the way of those dreams. So I think for me, that's how it works. But it just happened that the form teacher is the one who was offering me something I hadn't seen. And trust me, if I hadn't been there dreaming and seen the vision of me becoming a doctor, I would just have done what she was advising, because she was the authority figure, the person who was the mother figure in our class, who had our best interest at heart. So it's important to have your own vision. And maybe I should have sat down with her and said, this is what I see. But I know what she would have said. So that's what happened.
That's excellent. So we did fast forward, because we didn't know if you actually became the doctor, you had the daughter, you got the husband. So did all that happen?
So what happened now, once I passed and went to the university I went in my first year. So because everyone was saying most people fail their first year, I was on a mission. And I think when people tell me that you can't do this, I try to do the opposite, like maybe try to prove them wrong. But at the same time, I made a point to get people around me to help me. So in the first year, and I'll speak about the first mentor, I'll talk about mentors as we have this conversation. I met the first mentor who was now in her second year towards medicine. And I told her about what the first year is like, because she passed. So I'll learn something from her. They say that success leaves clues. How did you do it? What did you do? And she gave me all her books. So I was always a step ahead, because I was determined to pass that first year and not end my university career at that point. Interestingly as well, in my first year, I met the guy who fit the description that I had dreamed. He was just everything. It was like, okay, this is really unusual. And interestingly, he was also saying, he doesn't want to wait until I finish my 7 years. He would want to settle down quickly. Like, at first I thought, really? And then I remembered the dream, like, okay, we're going to work with this. So he was fantastic at studying. He was really, really bright student. Still is, and he used to study maths very well. So he taught me and helped me a lot, in terms of preparing for the exam in my first year and so on. And he was my second mentor, referred to as my second mentor, and really, really supported me. And again, I had that desire in my heart. There was something I was going for, and the help came with that because I knew exactly what I wanted. So I passed my first year, and I went into the second year towards the path of medicine. And just to get an idea of how difficult people thought that it would be for me, my father at the time thought that I would definitely fail my first year, and like a lot of other people. And therefore, he organized for me to go to a college to study pharmacy so that I didn't waste time. So I failed my first year, go straight to study pharmacy. And he never told me all this. He only told me after when I passed, and thought, all right, then I'll have to give up that place for you at the college. But that's just how strongly people felt, and tried to help me, because they felt that probably I was going in the wrong direction by deciding to pursue the medical career.
That's excellent. Oh wow, that's amazing. So that's lovely to hear that you had a vision, you had a dream, it was in your head, and daydreaming came into it, well, day playing your whole life, and then absolutely went exactly the way how you seen it, which for me, I always say, I feel like that's like, I just think it's magnificent, just knowing that you are in control, or you can see a vision, a dream, you can see your the best you, and you can follow it. So even just hearing your story to me made me think, wow. So would you say that they're the tools for manifestation, to manifest things in your life? You have to see it first in your mind?
Yeah. So in fifth year, we got married. And 15 months later, I had my daughter, who looks exactly like me. A lot of people don't believe it. Like, yeah, she just looks exactly like me. Then, as planned, in between, we moved to the UK. Then, when she was about 3 years old, after we came here, she was 2.5 when we had when we came to this country, and our son was born when she was 3. So a few months after we arrived here, and he looks exactly like the dad. Again, just like I had seen it. And I think maybe God was just being kind to me. I'd seen too much to be, get disappointed. But I firmly believe that he does grant us the desires of our hearts. But sometimes it doesn't always work exactly or take the time you expect it to. Because when we come to this country, in order to practice medicine in this country, you have to do some exams. And I remember, because I worked so hard in my medical school, I don't remember really failing an exam, but this exam in the UK, I failed it. And I thought, oh my goodness, my dreams were completely shattered. So I tried again immediately, failed it again. Like, that's it. I was so frustrated, so disappointed, and I gave up. I will not practice medicine in this country. My husband will finish his course and we'll go back to Zambia. That's exactly what I did. But then I got a job while, waiting for my husband. I got a job in Manchester Royal Infirmary, where I was helping with doing blood tests and doing, basic tests, then give the results to the nurses and the doctors. And while there, I met my third mentor. So she was training in the A&E department as an A&E doctor, Dr. Margaret Maloba. And we formed a relationship. She just became like my big sister, who would even pray together, have meals together, and chatting. So I told her a bit about my background and how I didn't pass this exam, and I had given up, and we were just on our way back to Zambia. And she took me to a corner and said, "What? Of course you don't pass the exam." So she really sort of told me off for giving up, and she equipped me with hope and, the fact that I could, succeed. Why should you bury your dream? That's your dream. You're going to practice medicine, and you can do it here. So after that, when I decided that I'll go for it, I managed to pass the exam straight away, and I started working as a doctor in this country. I know. So just to demonstrate that we may have the desires, but sometimes it don't happen in a linear fashion. Sometimes there are ups and downs with us, and we shouldn't give up. I gave up, but I've learned from that lesson. So that
Yeah.
set me up then to come back. And when I returned after 3 years of not practicing because of looking after the children and failing the exam, I decided that I was going to finish my postgraduate training in the shortest amount of time possible, because then I'll be catching up with my friends.
Oh, that's excellent. So how short did it take? How long did it take for you to complete your
So,
postgraduate?
because I followed the path for psychiatry, it's another 6 years on top of the 7 years. So, but you're working and studying at the same time. So the first 3 years you have to do that before you do the first. You work for the first year to 18 months before you do the first exam. And then after 3 years, you do the second exam. And then after the second exam, you become a specialist trainee, and you do that again with people working alongside different supervisors who are supporting you, training you in professionalism and leadership. And that's how I met my fourth mentor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Dr. Louis Sell is a consultant I worked with when I was training as an addiction specialist. And after I became a consultant, she's the one who did my very first medical appraisal. And that for me was really life-changing. An appraisal, a medical appraisal, is just an opportunity to just sit down initially sit down on your own to reflect over the last 12 months of your work. You know, what's gone well, what could you have done different, and set up goals for the next 12 months. And then you sit down with the supervisor or somebody else senior and go through your work and give feedback. So you also get feedback from the patients. You also get feedback from the colleagues that you work with at different levels, and put all that together and come up with something which you reflect on, so that you can become an even better doctor. So I really liked that process, loved it. And she was amazing. She gave me some really positive feedback, and she set me off to a lifelong journey of regular reflecting on my professional career.
Oh, that's excellent. So in terms of your professional career, what would you say that you do, you specialize in, and your patients who you work with?
Yeah. So I trained as a general adult psychiatrist, and with the specialism in working with adults with mental health problems, but also with adults who have addiction problems, so drug and alcohol problems. So in my job, I work mostly with people who have addiction problems, but quite a few of them also have the mental disorders. So you're looking after both conditions simultaneously, while getting other teams as well to support them in that way.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing. Well done. And so, in terms of Reaping Women, where does that come from? That whole organization that you've set up as well. How did that start? And what are the tools that you give? And what's the outcome we can expect?
So the way that the reaping, the desire was birthed in my heart was after the appraisal with Dr. Sell. So I remember sipping a coffee in Costa Coffee, my second home. And I started thinking, like, what if I could reflect over my other life roles, me as a wife, as a mother, as a Christian, as a friend, as a sister? What if I could reflect on these roles, life roles as well, as I did as a consultant? And what if I could set development goals in those areas? What if I could set up some goals about becoming an even better wife, about becoming a better mother? And so I started thinking about that, and that stayed with me for quite some time. But it wasn't anything that I took, a step further. And then around the same time, I came across this song by a lady called Sarah Reeves. I'll just read it out just to add context. And so this is what it says. Time is running out, come save. Death is creeping in, come save. We humble ourselves and seek your face. Pour out your mercy like rain. Addicted to our pride, come save. Consumed in self-delight, come save. Break us and free us from these chains. We desperately need your grace. Your sons and your daughters cry for you. The waves of the waters reach for you. All of creation rises up and screams out your name, oh Lord, come save. And on the bridge, it says, come and awaken us up from our sleep. Come and bring us to our knees. Come and whisper truths in our ears. Come save, come save, come save. So it was just a random stumbling on this song. And for some reason, it just became my anthem. For a whole 6 months, I would play it over 20 times. In my car, at home, everywhere, I'll just be playing it, and it just became part of me. Then one night while I was visiting in Zambia, I'd gone to bed at my friend's house, and I just got woken up. I just woke up. I think it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't go back to sleep. And normally I'm quite a good sleeper, but I just couldn't sleep. And I decided to just put the song on and started playing it. And I just put it on repeat. I didn't even think twice because that's what I had done the last 6 months. And I must have played it over 60 times. And before I knew it, I was woken up from my sleep. I was brought to my knees and I was crying. And I come whisper things in our ears. So I started talking to God and what is it that you want to whisper in my ears? I was ready. The desire had been on me, inside of me. And it just started telling me, start reaping, start reaping. So I couldn't understand what does that mean. And by the morning, I had written out everything about reaping.
Wow.
Yeah.
So totally inspired, divinely inspired.
Yes, yes. And over the years, so what I did, I wrote it all out. And when I came back here, I started putting it into practice for my own life. And this is what it is. It's an acronym. So reaping, the R stands for reflecting. So looking back, taking time to look back in your life, whether it's over the last day, 24 hours, over the last week, a year, whatever, but reflect.
Yes.
Look at the things that you're grateful for, things that you've achieved, things that you have made, things that you've created, or whatever, anything that brings gratitude, anything. Spend time and focus on them, write them down, and just dwell on them and appreciate that and be thankful. But at the same time, reflect also, look back on the things that you could have done different, things that the mistakes that you had made, or maybe people made mistakes on your life or whatever, but reflect on that as well. If it's something that you need to take responsibility for, make amends there and then. If you need to forgive, if you need to repent. That's another bit about reflecting. And then the next thing, once you've done that bit, and especially when I start with the gratitude, it puts me on a level where I can handle anything. So it's so much easier for me to ask for forgiveness or forgive somebody. It's so much easier for me to actually, apologize to somebody. It's so much easier for me to repent, because I'm at that level where there's other things which are bigger than the things which haven't worked out well. And those things probably would just stand in the way of my progress. So once I've done that, then the next bit is envision. So what will I want tomorrow to be like? What do I want next week to be like? The next year to be like? 5 years to be like? And then at this point, it just took me back to my teenage years. So when this happened, when God gave me this, it took me back to my teenage years. It was almost as if, why have you stopped daydreaming?
Oh, wow.
And I looked at everything that had happened in my life, secondary to the fact that I was daydreaming, with structure, with color, with emotion. And for me, I believe that this was what it was taking me back to. And that was the reason I probably did that. It's for perhaps my life purpose. So I started envisioning, what do you see as a mother? What kind of mother do I want to be? As a wife, what kind of wife do I want to be? And with that, I do it in prayer. I do it reading the Bible, because in the Bible, my identity is actually in there. So the things that God says I am is in there. So if it's already in there, that's what I then align with the things that I envision. So it just makes, I make sure that it's in line with God's will for my life. Sometimes, obviously, if I want a car, I'll envision a car and I'll put it somewhere where I want. And does God want me to have a car? Yes, He wants me to have good things. So I do envision that. And then based on the things that I've envisioned, I come up with actions. So there's no limit, just put as many actions as you can. So you can narrow this. Say, for instance, if I want to save some money to buy the car, so what actions do I need to do? And put everything, as many as you can, in there. So that's the A. And then the P is for then planning. So you've got 20 actions. Which one are you going to do now? Which one are you going to do tomorrow? Which one are you going to do the next day? And create like a smart, like a smart goal around that, with something specific, that's measurable, achievable, and realistic, and also timely. So everything has to have a time by which you should do it by. So that's how Reaping was born. And within a short space of time, I managed to achieve quite a lot. And I set up my clothing line called Chinyere Garments. I think I realized that I wasn't just arguing with my husband at all, because I was using a method to deal with things. And very soon people realized that there's something different. And I remember somebody asking me, saying, "What coffee are you drinking?" Because you seem to be, excited all the time and happy and not looking stressed. So I invited her to share what Reaping was for me and what God had done for me. And at that point, for her, she gave her life to Jesus, which I believe this wasn't just for me, this was for other people as well.
Yes. OMG. I'm just like sat here thinking, wow. I'm visualizing the reap, what you've just broke down, and thinking about the things that I want, career goal minded. But you've just said something, and I thought, wow, you can actually apply that to how you want to be a mother, how you want to be a wife, a sister, and it can actually support all areas in your life. And to the point where you're not just blindly going about life, you're actually going with intention, with intent, and also in control, in a sense. So I always say it's really important to be in control of your emotions and your happiness, and you're not to ask for the happy, like anyone else to make you happy. But this is an absolutely amazing, simple 4 steps.
I added 2 more. I'll explain. So if somebody wants to have a reaping session, normally I would have one around, just before New Year, and then I'll have one on my birthday. I tend to do them quarterly. But if somebody wanted to do a reaping session, we normally do like I don't know if you've heard about the Wheel of Life, where it's like a pie, or if you imagine a pizza cut up into 8 pieces or 6 pieces, depending on the number of life rows that you have. So each part of that pizza is a life row that you choose yourself. So normally I'll be a psychiatrist because I want to be the best psychiatrist. I'll be the mother. I want to be the best mom. I'll be the wife, the sister. All of them. I come up with something like 8. And even also how I manage my money and also how I look after my home. So with those 8, I then reflect and say, where am I at now? So after the gratitude, where am I at now out of 10? Just don't think too much. How am I doing as a wife? I give myself a score out of 10. Obviously, 10 out of 10 means that there's no room for improvement. I'm the best. But I give myself a number where there's still some wiggle room to become better. So I do that for all the life rows. And then from there, for each life row, I come up with actions that can make me better, improve that score. And then just to help me, because it can be overwhelming sometimes to think all of those are life roles. You look at the ones where you scored the least, because if there are areas which are not thriving, they can pull other areas down. And there are areas maybe which are not doing so well, but there's a reason behind. Maybe it's because you're waiting on something, so you can still be intentionally imbalanced. But doing that regularly helps you have a helicopter view of your life regularly, so that you can see stress from a distance and do something about it, nip it in the bud, so to speak.
I'm loving it. I am loving it. Definitely loving it. And we're definitely going to let everybody know how they actually can get involved and get in contact with you and to be able to do the reaping in their lives as well. So you've got the reaping women, and then you said that you've added, are we this more reaping or the reaper?
Yeah, so when somebody is reaping regularly and on a regular basis, they reflect, envision, action plan. I set up little cards as well, which I use to make it easier for me. So it's just like a 4x4 card. And on it, the bits that you're reflecting with gratitude, you write them down. And then the bits that you want to be different, those become your prayer requests. And then what you will do, the actions and when, so you write them in the other corner. And then also, any quotes or promise that you're standing on. And then on it, it also talks about ask and you'll be given, just to remind us the importance of prayer and so on. So these ones, I take one a day and do it at the beginning of the day, and then at the end of the day, reflect on it as well. So so when somebody's practicing reaping regularly, they become what I call a reaper. And added ER, that wasn't from God, but I also believe that it's important that they are there. And the E is for enjoying. So rather than wait until you achieve all your goals, you enjoy life as you go along. And sometimes when we're really busy, especially when life gets really busy, it's very difficult for us to actually schedule time to enjoy ourselves on our own and also with others. So schedule it, then it happens. And the last R is just for review. So you do it regularly. Because there's no point in doing the wheel, come up with actions and plan it and then shelve it. Because nothing's going to happen. You can envision, you can have all your vision on the vision boards, but if you don't work them, they just don't happen. I don't believe that. So we have to make it and pray, obviously prayerfully work through it.
Work through it. Thank you so much. Definitely. Thank you so much for it. I'm just really quite really happily taken by this method, and I really feel that's a really good way as a mother, as as a woman. You're everything to everyone, and it's like, how do you actually balance that, manage that, and even be kind to yourself at the same time? Yeah. This is absolutely amazing. Did you hear all of that? It was so insightful, really, really, really insightful, to the point where I'm like, this is going to be my new life. This is how I'm manage my life. Definitely. I'm just saying, Catherine, you just disappeared there. So just saying, this is the way how I'm going to manage my life. And I'm definitely take all these wonderful steps on board, and we definitely get a link in the description of how you can take those steps as well, because Catherine she's on a mission to actually impact 1 million women with REAP. So we're going to definitely make that happen and help that, because I'm really, 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 I'm really happy.
Yes, thank you for reminding me about the mission. Yeah, I really, really want to get as many people reaping as possible. And every reaper goes and teaches somebody else to reap. Because when we reap and regularly do that, it just makes, for me, the benefits are just too many to mention. And say, for instance, at the beginning of the lockdown, and I ripped more than I've ever done before, because it was a really stressful time at work, making sure that the people that we look after were safe, and and so on. So it required a lot of emotional strength. So when you reap regularly, you are actually depositing into your emotional resilience and so on. So that when life happens, and life will always happen, there's always something around the corner. You have a deposit to draw from, and there's a system that's already there that you can work on. You stop and reap.
Stop and reap. Oh, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience with me with the Mama Knows Best and our technical issues. But definitely, We'll be definitely in touch, and I'm going to make sure there's a link in the description for every potential reaper and reaping to get in contact and to actually start managing your life in a more actionable, purposely, and in a more joyous way as well, of being able to manage all these balls that we have as women, as people. So thank you so much for your time, for being with us on the Mama Knows Best show, and we'll get all those people reaping. So thank you so much, Catherine, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you, lovely. Wow, everyone. As I said, I am in awe with the whole concept of reaping and being a reaper. So I'm going to be a reaper, definitely, and just being able to manage the many things that we do, but in a more systemized way. And one beautiful thing as well, speaking to Catherine, was definitely about visualizing and the daydreaming. We could not, honest, I do daydream, I really do. And I say it's a part of me seeing, the visions that I want, the things I want in my life, how I want things to go, the special somebody that's going to come into my life. I've got the vision, I can see it. And I always say you have to see the target in order to hit it. So that's one way of actually seeing your targets in all aspects in life, is having a vision in your mind. And as Catherine said, daydreaming. She was daydreaming from when she was young, and she's managed to pan her life out, and the way how her daydream and her story, what she's seen in her mind's eye, come true. So everybody, keep your daydreaming, keep visualizing, keep thinking of the things that you want in your life, in your relationships with your friends, your family, career, everything. And also as well, get those steps for reaping, definitely. Oh wow, description in below, so if anyone is interested. Thank you so much, Catherine, for coming on Mama Knows Best show, and definitely join us every single week. Mama Knows Best celebrates every woman's strength, purpose, and potential through sharing online and on radio. So thank you for joining us on the Mama Knows Best show. See you next week. I'm a reaper. Bye.